everyone. It is Leah here and
Pepe, Leah's daddy.
And we're going to talk about mentorship.
Yes.
Yes. But first, we're just going to wait for a couple people to get on while we are streaming right now. And let's just talk about our day for a couple minutes.
Oh, man. That was a day.
I'm ready to talk. I have a whole huge bottle right here.
Well, today, both myself and Leah spent yesterday and today with an inspector, government inspection for our laboratory, which we have been accredited for probably the last 25 years with the NVLAP for asbestos laboratory analysis. And we did pretty well today, actually. Maybe 450 deficiencies, possible deficiencies that you could have. We really had one major repeated one. And we are going to be able to do that. And it's all about quality control. And we're going to try to respond to that within this week or next week. But I know we didn't have much sleep trying, especially you.
Yeah, I did a lot of work. I have a day job. We have day jobs because this is sometimes what you have to do. Oh, hi, Danielle. Where is everyone else? We need to wait until we have at least like 5 or 10 people.
Okay.
We're just talking about our days. So let's see.
And many of them are praying for us, so we are very appreciative of that.
Yes, thank you so much for helping us with your prayer. This accreditation thing is no joke. Yes. Okay, we have 6. Let's wait for a couple more people. So I mean, like, I somehow intuitively followed in the footsteps of my father, and I think this is an accidental kind of mentorship thing, which I think is hysterical, and we'll get more in detail with that. But I learned from my dad, and it feels like it was kind of like an environmentally constructed identity where I grew up in the lab, I worked in the lab, and I did environmental science as my undergrad degree, and here we are. Fast forward 10 years into the future, and I'm doing the literal same thing as my father.
Ah.
Yes.
I tell you.
Hi.
Genetics.
Hi, Juan Pablo.
Hey, Juan. My twin.
Yes. So if you're on right now, we see we have a couple more viewers. Just say hello in the comments. So our intentions tonight is really to discuss mentorship, because Dad's been talking about it for the last 2 weeks almost. And Mom's here too. Supposed to be surprised, but she really gave herself away. But she's going to come in too and talk about mentorship. And he's been talking about mentorship for the last 2 weeks, how to choose a mentor and how to choose a mentee. So we're really going to get into the fringes with mentorship. And Dad's going to just tell you a bunch of things he's been thinking about and studying and really researching on. Because when he does a study, he does an in-depth study where it's like, I'm surprised by the end of it, he doesn't tattoo the philosophy of what he's studying to his body, because he gets like really into it. So he breaks it down to a science, and we're really going to deconstruct mentorship tonight. So let's get started. Thank you on my career choice, Denny Forster. Okay, so let's get into it.
All right. And in fact, today when the inspector was leaving, he told you, he said, continue to study with your daddy.
Yeah, it's like learn from your father, and you're a great student.
So you can stay right here in Florida, do everything. I think Juan probably is going to agree with me.
That's a conversation for another day. So what we're going to talk about tonight is mentorship. And please feel free to ask questions in the comments. We will be getting to that as soon as you ask it. So while we are discussing mentorship. So let's get into it.
All right. Well, where do you want to start? I guess maybe from the first session that we did.
Yes.
Because for the past 3 Sundays at MKCC, we've been discussing mentorship. And, you know, it's a very sensitive topic, because choosing a mentor into your life, or a mentor choosing you to be a mentee, it's something that will take some time. And I think that we should take time to choose a mentor, especially in the time that we live in. It's no longer back in the the early times where men and women walked a whole lot more with character. Today, there's a whole greater outlook on people that are charismatic, and sometimes it's very hard to differentiate who to choose between, or what is the difference between character and charismatic or charisma. And a lot of times we make the mistake in choosing somebody that is very charismatic, which there is nothing wrong with us being charismatic, because it is our drive, it's our energy that attracts people to us. But even though we have that ability to do that, we still do need character, because character is what sustains you in the middle of chaos, in the middle of changes. Charisma may not necessarily do that. You know, charisma is totally different from charismatic character. And a lot of time today, we are more attracted to charismatic people rather than people that has character. It's going to take us some time to be able to discover somebody that has character. So you can't know somebody overnight. You know, you can't know them even within a month or two. It's going to take you a while to watch people, watch them how they deal with success, watch them how they deal with failure, with family issues, with very strenuous issues that may suddenly come upon them, maybe a debt in the family, maybe loss of job, money. It could be a lot of things like that. And you watch those people carefully how they handle it. And if you see that they are handling it in a very healthy way, they may be prospects for being a mentor.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So let's take a couple of steps back. And I want to ask you, what is the purpose of mentorship? Why is it so important?
Yeah, mentorship is very important because it is the transferring of your vision. It is the transferring of your ability to another generation. So what God has actually showed you in your own life, what it showed to you in your own life, it does not die when you die. It doesn't disappear when you leave, but it continues in the next generation. And this is important because you could see this even in nature. You know, animals continue with their kids, and their kids have the exact same type of behavior. You know, you look at a lion, for example. The cub goes out with the male lion, and he teaches that male cub how to catch, you know, food, how to capture food and so forth. And then there's something that is amazing that is continued in every pride that is raised by the lion. And that is, as a cub begins to grow, when that cub reaches a certain age, that mother and that father will literally kick that cub out of the pride. And the reason why is because they are very much concerned about inbreeding, because they could have defect in birth and so forth. So to avoid incest, in a sense, they would actually push them out there to start their own pride.
Okay, so he's already learned like how to reproduce another pride.
Right. So the male lion and the female lion have to actually teach the cubs those principles within them. You see? So they're transferring them or mentoring their cubs.
Well, it's really interesting because, like, you can, you know how you see how other animals foster different species of animals, and how the fostered species becomes like the species that's fostering it. So it really shows like how mentorship can translate like a whole entire culture, a whole identity onto what is being like raised by the parent, you know? So like if a cat is being, or a monkey is being fostered by a cat, the monkey is going to be cat-like.
Yes.
So can we like go deeper into that? So like a mentor, what is the responsibility of a mentor?
Okay. So the responsibility of a mentor is to educate, to celebrate, to pour into the life of a mentee the abilities that are already in him or her. Now, I want to say something here because I know a lot of our audience, most of them are believers. They are into the message of the kingdom, the concept of the kingdom, and so forth. But they also have to know that mentoring doesn't just come from a pastor. It can come from a teacher. It can come from a scientist, a psychologist. Let's say you're pursuing a career in engineering or maybe dentistry, you know, or maybe you want to open up your own barber shop, or you want to open up your own beauty shop and so forth. It's very important for you to find mentors that has that type of ability so that they can transfer into you the information, their experiences, their losses and their gains into use, because you got to learn their failure too as well. That's why it is the responsibility of the mentor to actually teach not only his or her success, but also their failure. So it's important to do that. So those responsibilities are very important to the mentor. He or she is responsible for giving them the entire story and not just part of the story, so that they learn from their failures and they also learn from their successes.
So is everyone meant to be a mentor? Like, can everyone be a mentor?
Eventually, everyone has to.
Do you think it happens even without us even knowing that we're mentoring people?
A lot of times we are influencing people, and this is why we got to be so careful as to the way we conduct ourselves in private or in public, because you never know who's watching you. And there may be somebody out there that admires something that you do, and it may be just one person that does that, but just that one person, you can use that one person, you can influence that one person, change the entire world. So wherever you are, you have to display godly character in your life, not just only to be charismatic, but also to have a life of character. And I'm stressing character because I'm seeing in the time that we live in, and so many disappointments, so much failures, people being discouraged who were being mentored over the years because they were following charismatic leaders but never took time to see if they had the necessary character that they needed in their lives. So when these charismatic leaders fall, it caused them to become very sad, very discouraged, confused, and so forth. And so they put sometime all the eggs in one basket. Say, well, I no longer need that. I hate the church now. I hate engineering, or I hate business, because I was trying to open up a business, but then I saw what was happening with the person that was mentoring me, the person I admire, and I saw the collapse of them. Like, you look at Enron, for example.
Enron.
Enron is amazing company, but all this.
Enron was a thing that happened before I was born.
Yes.
But I know of it.
But the reason why you know of it is because people that live they got the information of the failure, and they got of the success of these people, and it was transferred down to you. Now you know about a major company that was doing great business that have collapsed, and some of their people are still in prison, actually, the leaders in there. So you can learn from some of those failures too as well. So I would tell everyone that is listening to tonight that yes, you are a possibility of a mentor. There are people that are watching you secretly, you don't even know about it, and this is why you must continue to conduct yourself in such a way that it would be admirable, it will be something that people could copy, that people could imitate. Like Paul says, imitate me as I imitate Christ, and they can make their lives better. You never live for yourself. We have to stop being selfish. It's not all about ourselves. We are always living for our next generation. That's what plants, that's what animals, that's what nature actually does. Some of them actually would give their lives up in order for them to make their next generation, stay alive. We were doing a study on the crimson worm. Yeah. And the crimson worm is one of those creatures that actually depicts the life of Jesus of Nazareth when he talked about the Holy Communion. It says, eat of my flesh, drink of my blood. That's exactly what this worm does. This worm climbs up on a tree, attaches itself to a tree, and then it gives birth to a generation of other worms. And while it's alive, it allows those worms, those baby worms, to actually eat the flesh and drink of its blood, and then eventually it dies. So in other words, it sacrifices its life for the next generation. And as you could see, most of your history books, the people that are most admired are people who changed nations and community, or even situations that was taking place on our planet, were people who actually died for a cause. You see, so mentors have to be very brave to actually find a cause that they love and be willing to die for it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yes.
That's good stuff. Question, because I just have a lot of questions. If you want to be a world changer, you have to ask really good questions.
Yes.
So does everyone need a mentor?
That's a very good question. Yes. Yes, yes, yes.
Follow-up question.
Yes.
Why?
Okay. I know you were going to say that. All right. All right. The way that God has set up, nature, how He has set up creation, He has designed it in such a way where he designed us independently, but he made us to be interdependent. Now, this is not only seen in humans, it's seen in nature. When you study nature, and I know that you're an environmental scientist, when you look at the ecological environment, you look at a forest and so forth, there's a whole lot that is happening in that forest. You're seeing trees that are growing very tall, and then there are other stuff or creatures in there that you cannot even see. For example, the worm is buried into the ground, but the worm and the insect are so important because then they drill into the ground, make the ground more porous, so that when the rain falls, rain will enter in, and then it gets into the roots of those large trees. So you're finding fungus and bacteria and trees and lichens and water, and everything is actually working together interdependently so that you can have a healthy forest. The only way that we can have a healthy forest is when we glean from a mentor. So in other words, in the forest, the tree is mentoring the worm, and the worm is mentoring the root, and the roots are mentoring, a branch, and the branches are mentoring the fruits, and you have this interdependence that is taking place among every one of them. So it is very, very important that you must have a mentor in your life, and that they must be interdependent with them. You cannot be the self-made island. You're not a one-man island. A one-man show. You're going to die. You're going to disintegrate. The story of Susan Boyle is amazing. She is a woman that she practiced independently, her songs and music, but it was useless until she interdependently bought into a community. And then over there, here is a lady that was poor, she had needs, but as soon as her gift came out and it worked interdependently with other organizations, today so many others were inspired and encouraged by her, saying, well, if she can do this, then I can do this. So yes, you need a mentor in your life, and you need someone that has experiences or have a career that you want to imitate from. Interdependence.
This is different from codependence, where codependence is you rely fully and totally, your life is in their hands, or you think that their life is in your hands, or that your life is in their hands. So it's not a toxic relationship, but rather a symbiotic relationship where you both benefit from the relationship.
And a mentor is one who is trying to bring their mentee in a place that is way above them.
That's it.
You see? So when that happens, then that eliminates codependence. You see? That eliminates it completely. It actually promotes interdependence and destroys that codependence, because the mentor does not want the mentee to be relying on them for the rest of their lives. You see, with what we have been through in the laboratory for many years, I taught you quality control, I taught you microscopy and so forth. Now I am sitting back and I am hearing you listen to an inspector, a laboratory inspector, make certain comments, and some of the areas I have no clue what he's saying, because we have new laws now, but you are understanding it. And you're understanding it now. Why? Because you have outgrown me. You have outgrown me in terms of laboratory. You have inspection, whether it's quality control, whether it's microscopy, analysis, you have outgrown that. And that's the mark of a true mentor, when their mentee outgrows them in knowledge and ability, but at the same time, the mentee never sees that. The mentee said, what are you talking about? What do you mean that you have outgrown me? The mentee never sees that, because the mentee is absorbed into the submission of the mentor and always believe that there is something new to learn from the mentor. And trust me, there's a whole lot more that you can still learn in microscopy.
That's a good time to take a question. So, Mr. Joseph Trujillo wants to know, how many more mentors can you have?
Oh, you could have multiples. In fact, the 1 Corinthians tells you that you could have many instructors. That word instructor is really mentor, but you could only have one father. And Joey Trujillo know who that daddy is. He sounds just like him. You cannot really have many fathers. You could have many mentors or many instructors. So you could have a math instructor, you could have a physical education instructor, you could have a scientific instructor, you can have a pastoral instructor. All these are very important into your life, but there's only one that will be your father, and there's only one father you have. Now you can have father figures, but that father figure to me is the same as a mentor. You can only have one father. And if you look at it biologically, you would see how many daddy you have. You have one biological father.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Yes.
You look like me too as well.
Do we look the same?
All right.
Right. So I just want to take this time to thank you guys for tuning in. Hello to everyone who's tuned in. Just press that like button, please, so we can just get that count up there. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and family on your Facebook. We just thank you guys for subscribing to Pepe Ramnath International. And we have a website called PepeRamnathIntl.com. So please log on to there and check out the content that we have on there and subscribe to our newsletters, because you guys get coupons, you get exclusive access to curriculum that Dad has. I email out his personal PowerPoints and his personal notes that he's had over the years, and you guys just have, it's really good stuff.
Those PowerPoints are sick, but I will give it to you because I want you to take it, preach it, and go beyond it. You know, I look at Joy Treher is there right now, and when both him and Annette came, and me and Mom, Angela, they were, you know, taking care of a school. But today, they are not only the principals of the school, but they are very much involved into science itself. And I mean, Joy is big into the human brain.
Neuroplasticity and
oh
stuff.
My Lord, he's amazing. And the stuff that he's saying, I learn from those stuff. You see, because I don't know much about neuroplasticity and neuroscience and so, but I'm learning from him as he begins to talk about it. Here I am learning, but he will never ever try to ever say one day he's above his daddy. He doesn't even know that I learned from him. He thinks that he's always learning from me, but I'm learning from him. That's good mentoring.
I have a question.
Yes.
So also feel free to keep asking questions. We encourage you to participate in this discussion. We are deconstructing mentorship. So I want to know the difference between a father and a mentor.
Yes. All right. Now, if you go to 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 15, you're seeing the scripture. I'm going to actually read the scripture for you. It says, "For even if you had 10,000 others to teach you about Christ, you have only one spiritual father. For I became your father in Christ when I preach the good news, the kingdom to you." Now, I know this could be very controversial, but this is the scripture. This scripture is telling us what Paul is saying. Paul says, I became a spiritual father to you because of a particular message. So a spiritual father, when a spiritual father comes into your life, I'm talking about the right spiritual father. The spiritual father must be one who knows and have studied the message of the kingdom, because that is what qualified Paul to become a spiritual father.
Take notes, everybody.
All right. So there are many people out there. There are many great men, great women, great spiritual fathers, great spiritual mothers out there. But the ultimate test is what Paul is saying. The Apostle Paul is saying that I became that one spiritual father to you because I have teach and preached to you the good news of the kingdom. So the prerequisite of or the foundational message of a spiritual father, when you want to measure who a spiritual father is, you have to know what he's teaching or what she's teaching. Now I say he or she because you know, I had a spiritual father who happened to be in the earlier days, that is, you know, a spiritual father figure, which was a lady. And because of her teaching the gospel of the kingdom, Sunday jury, that was, I came to know Jesus of Nazareth, you know. So we have to learn today to know this is the deciding factor in the time that we're living in 2020. As we go into 2020, and you're seeing leaders collapse back in 2019, 2018, 17, and so forth, you are now most likely not able to trust, and I don't blame you. So now, what do you look for? You look for character is number one, but you must look for someone that knows the message of the kingdom, because Paul is saying in the scriptures, the only thing that qualifies me to be your spiritual father, to be that one spiritual father, is because of what I preach, and that is the good news of the kingdom in 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 15. Now, a mentor will come into your life and they will make certain demands, certain homework assignment and so forth they will give to you. They expect you to produce result at the end of the assignment. So if they give you 1 month to do it, then that's it. Now, if you don't do it, you're out of the program.
That makes sense.
Now, a spiritual father will mentor you too as well, but he now operates more by love. So you would find him getting really mad and upset, but then somehow or the other, he has this longevity of love that he forgives and he overrides. It's like, a father is more forgiving than a mentor. A mentor will cut you out. That's it. You're wasting my time. I'm moving to the next person. A father is mentoring you, but has the patience to actually love you in the midst of your mistake. So that's kind of one of the deciding factors. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. So you could see in the midst of God mentoring us, he's also fathering us. He is the ultimate father. So what does he do when we make a lot of mistakes, when we don't hand over the homework on time? He still loves us through. That prodigal son, that man took all of his money, all of his inheritance, and spent it out. But the father was still waiting. What would the mentor do though? The mentor would say, goodbye, auf Wiedersehen.
Later.
See you later, alligator. All right.
We have another question from Joey Trujillo. Can you find a spiritual father through mentorship? Yes.
In fact, that's where you discover them. You discover your spiritual father because your spiritual father actually is going to be first a mentor to you. And as time goes on and as the relationship begins to develop more and more, it moves from mentorship into fatherhood. Now, that is the highest form. The highest form of mentorship is when it moves to fatherhood, because now this is where you're going to take on the DNA, the fabric of the DNA of your father. And that's a very good question.
So with that, right, it can also go in the opposite direction. What do you do if you notice that your spiritual father or your mentor is gradually like leaving your life?
Yeah. So what you have to understand by something like that is that who you thought was a spiritual father was really always a mentor, because a mentor is seasonal.
Okay.
A mentor only comes within a time. Let's say you had a death in the family and so forth, and this person comes in and they're encouraging you, they're giving you scriptures, they're praying with you and so forth. And then as soon as you get healed, you notice that they start distancing from you. The reason why is because your season is up. That time is up, that teaching is up, and now they're moved out from your life. So a lot of time when you see someone who has been mentoring you, and this could be over years, they start disappearing from you, it may just be that was never a spiritual father, but that was a mentor. It can also mean too that this spiritual father or who is a mentor, we have not been pursuing them, because you're supposed to pursue your mentor. Your mentor is not supposed to be running behind you, looking for homework, if they have to do that, you better don't have a program at all. So there are certain things that could also cause the mentor to become your spiritual father. And the mentee can encourage this change by the way they pursue that person. So it goes two ways. Now, if you're pursuing the mentor, but then the mentor don't pursue you, then something is either they're testing you to see if you're going to stay on, or it means that they have no interest. But you wait long enough until you figure out, hey, this is not going to work. Let me move out. Maybe it was a seasonal teaching, or maybe this is just not my spiritual father. It was just a mentor for a certain period of a time.
Okay.
Is that clear? Or
yeah.
You sure?
Is that clear? You guys tell us? Tell us in the comments. Because I got it, right? But it's like I'm ruminating on that, I'm gonna answer a question really quick, but answer in the comments if that was clear on what do you do if your mentor or spiritual father is gradually just leaving your life. So the question here from Daniela Stell. Leah, at what age did your mentorship start, or did you begin to search for a mentor? So I was actually forcefully put into a mentorship program, a leadership program, back when I was like 15. Yeah, under Raymond and Brooke Inez, and they like loved me to death, and they would come to my dad like every month and be like, Leah's not doing anything, she's not producing any work. And then I eventually just snapped out of it and I started doing work, and I would get assignments from them and everything. And then when I went away to college, I have my educational mentors, and I love my educational mentors, and I send them emails every once in a while, and I call them every once in a while, and we have a good discussion. I'd say that my spiritual father is my dad, right? Because No, it's not a compliment.
Oh,
So it's not meant to be a compliment.
okay.
But you see, I can make these jokes with him because he's my actual dad. And I want to tell this to everybody here too, especially like pastors' children. Sometimes we try and look for spiritual parents, but it's okay as well if your actual parents are your spiritual parents too, unless or until you find these a couple or a spiritual father or mother that will be that person for you, where you can be completely vulnerable to, and they can just help you build your life in that way. So I think when I was 15, my dad was actually doing a mentorship series as well. And me and one of my good friends, Brittany Wheeler, we were like looking at each other and we're like, we have to find mentors. We have to find mentors. And it was even an assignment that was given to us in the Leadership Academy as well, where we were assigned to find a mentor. Mm-hmm. And then Dad was like teaching on the characteristics, on how to find a good mentor and like how to find a compatible mentor. And I was just like, I don't know who to pick. So they chose one for me based on like compatibility. And then we just kind of went on from there. But as Dad said, it's like it's seasonal and they come in and out of your life depending on the seasons, right? Mm. But always maintaining like contact once in a while and things like that. But the thing is, like, I didn't look for myself because I was within a community where it was being taught that mentorship is a law of the kingdom. So if we could talk more about that law of mentorship, because me and Brittany were freaking out. And that's why we were just like, we have to find mentors. We have to find mentors. Yeah. So I have several mentors, but they've come in different phases of my life. And I still like go back. I mean, I just say like, hey, what's up? And maintain a relationship with them. Bare minimum, like something on Facebook, double tap on that Instagram. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you asked earlier, why do I need a mentor? Why can't I just do it myself or hear from God myself? That's a very good question.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Well, in the first session that I did at church, I wrote something here and I said, the reason why is because everything under the heavens were actually designed with a built-in legacy law. Everything has a legacy law. Mm-hmm. Both you and I, we are so fascinated by the redwoods, yes, the sequoia tree. We went and we took pictures. We hugged the tree and took pictures too as well, because this is an amazing tree. It has a major legacy story behind it, because somehow or the other, this particular tree fights for its future generation. When there is a forest fire, which California has a lot of them.
So much now.
What they would do is that they would literally burn. These trees will burn, the trunks will burn, the branches will burn. But what it would do, it would close the cone. When it closes conifers, it will close the cones to protect the seed. And so while it's burning, because the trunk of these trees are very dry at times, and it will literally burn. So while this tree is burning alive, it's holding on to the seeds with its life.
Wait, no. What happens is when it starts to burn, that's when the seeds get released from the cones.
Well, it holds onto the seed first, and then it waits for the fire to go out, and then it opens back and spits out the seed that falls into the ashes. And then it uses the ashes, which happens to be the right nutrient for those particular trees to grow. And that's why these trees are some of the longest living trees in the entire world, because they keep their generation from one generation to another generation, because they understand the built-in law of legacy. They have to have a legacy. So these trees exist for hundreds of years. Sorry, thousands of years. Yeah, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. Yeah. All right. Psalms 145 and verse 4 and 6 says it. David is documenting this. He says, one generation commends your work to another. That means you would be talking about my generation when I'm long gone. I am talking about Oral Roberts. I'm talking about Catherine Coleman. I'm talking about Albert Einstein. I'm talking about Michael Faraday. These are people who are long gone, but because of legacy, I am now telling you and your generation about the discovery of Nikola Tesla, for example. You and Juan was there yesterday, and I was looking at Nikola Tesla, and I was so intrigued by Nikola Tesla. we may hear of Nikola Tesla, but the way that I brought it across now, because of I'm charismatic about it now, the way that I brought it across, I'm pretty sure now you and Juan got excited about Nikola Tesla to some certain extent, that it's a great mind and so forth. But he's gone since 1948.
Yeah.
All right. But the reason why we are hearing about him is exactly what David says in Psalms 145 and verse 4 and 6. 4 through 6. The Bible really is not a religious book. It's a real document, a document of history, philosophy, legacy. We can see the legacy of great prophets and scientists' work that are documented in the scripture. So it says, one generation commends your work to another. They tell of your mighty acts. They speak of glorious splendor of your majesty, and I will meditate on your wonderful works. Meditate means I'm going to study it. I'm going to study what I just told you. You're going to study. You're going to meditate on it. You're going to study about it. And they tell of the power of your awesome work, and I will proclaim your great deeds. So this is one of the reasons why mentoring is so important. You know, when I speak into your life, I'm not just speaking about my experiences and I'm speaking about me. I'm speaking about the experiences that I accumulated over the years to produce me. I'm telling you the type of I submitted to, why character is so important. Why am I stressing character? Why? Because I have been among charismatic mentors who was charismatic, but when the rubber is about to meet the road, they were gone. They disappeared. They talked the talk, but they could not walk the walk. So I don't want the people that I'm mentoring, these mentees, to ever gravitate to people that are charismatic, but not that has no character. I want you to have both features now, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the one that is stressed the most is really character.
Yeah.
Because over the years, I have seen where people without character has failed.
Yeah.
All right.
And I've seen people without charisma totally just be behind the scene and just like kill life, like amazing. Let's just answer this question before we get to Angela and ask her about the life of a mentor.
Yes.
So let's think about this question from, there's two questions. Let's answer these two questions from first Joey Trujillo. If pursuing is necessary, how do you determine if you're bothering as to showing interest of knowledge? Like, are you bothering them? Like, how do you know that, how much is too much?
Good question. I heard Dr. Monroe said one time, you know, when that 70% of the Bible was written because of the questions that was asked.
Yes.
And, you know, the other 30 was just documents of activities and so forth. But even out of that 30, about 10 to 15% of that, maybe even 20% of that, 30% really, was Jesus himself asking questions so that he may answer it for the mentees. Yeah. So when you find a good mentor, you are never bothering them. When you find a father especially, they will never ever be bothered saying, oh, you're asking too much questions. I mean, think about your own kids. You know, would they push them and say you ask too much questions? Or would you be answering them? Because, you know, just like the scripture says, if a child asks of you of food, would you give them a rock? You know, if they ask for a drink, would you give them a worm? You know, a father is always looking out for the interest. So I would say if you are asking questions and the mentor is feeling bothered, you may have to look for another mentor. Because I think the mentor should be prepared to be ready to answer questions to the mentee, because you're talking about a life that is about to change either for the good or the bad. So you want to be answering questions for them at all times. So I would say, in my particular case, you know, I know that Joey is always concerned about, am I bothering, you know, my dad? No, you're never bothering me. Text, sometimes today we thank God for modern technology. You don't always have to be on the phone. And sometimes your mentor might be out. Like for me, example, I literally live on an airplane, as you know. But when I land, the text comes back in. So at times I am unable to answer questions. But when you send those questions to me, believe it or not, I take it seriously. I think about it, and then I answer it to you. You're never bothering me because I love you. I am your spiritual daddy. I'm your mentor out there, and I love your questions.
I think this could relate to this next question by Denny Forrester. And he says that the men that he's listening to are outside of a 300-mile radius. Can mentors relate personally at a distance?
Yes, a mentor can actually mentor you from a personal distance. And so a spiritual father too as well. But a spiritual father, you know, you should be, or even with a mentor, there must be some type of a physical contact at least a couple times per year, that is. With a spiritual father, it should be a little bit more too as well. So you can be mentored, I mean, because of distance and so forth, you're unable to see physically, but it's very important to be meeting physically. And this is why when the mentor is hosting a conference or a seminar or wants to meet with you,
or a live video,
for example, this over here, this is kind of like personal contact here, and you're being able to answer questions. You know, you should participate, you should be involved. You should not be the last one knowing about when this mentoring program is going to take place. So again, you know, but you still do have to make some time to physically be in their presence. If it's even once per year, you should never be once in 5 years or so. It should be once in a year. Bring your mentor to you, maybe fly them in or you fly to them, you know, but somehow they get to them at least once per year.
So we're going to trade people right here. We're going to go to Mom, a.k.a. Angela. I don't call them that because it feels weird because they're my parents. But she's going to come here. I'm going to ask her questions about being a mentor. So really quick.
She's amazing.
Quick plug, right? So we have a seminar planned for you guys in December, and it's completely free. But the is that there's only 30 seats available. So registration is going to be open this Friday, and you guys are going to have to, he left the door open. He closed the door, he leaves it open. So you're going to have to register as soon as possible when registration opens at 8 a.m. on Friday. Thank you. So keep that in mind, okay? Registration for this event, we're going to be talking about how to position yourself for success in the year 2020. So it's like we're starting a new year. How do I set myself up to win? How do I surround myself with people that are going to make my life even better? How am I going to live my best life now in the year 2020? And it's going to be called Geographies of Success because play on words is my favorite thing ever. So keep that in mind. And also, don't forget to like, comment, and share this video that we're doing right now because we just press that like button right now because there's a bunch of you watching. Thank you all so much for your questions already. And don't forget to subscribe to our emails. Don't forget to subscribe to our emails on Pepe, Ramnath, intl.com. Taking photos. Okay, so also right now, since Mom's here, don't forget to ask questions in the comments because we're getting to them. And if we miss you, you could always send us a direct message to our Facebook account right here. All right, Mom. So tell me what life is like being a mentor. Like, how does it make you feel? How do you experience mentoring people? And what are your strategies for mentoring people? I'll ask you separate questions, but the overall general impression.
Can I start with my mentor first?
For sure.
First, my mentor, Dr. Ruth Monroe, Pastor Miles Monroe, of course, Pastor Ruth Monroe, our mentors. But we learned a lot from Pastor Miles Monroe, our father in the faith, but we also learned from Pastor Ruth, our mother in the faith. And with her, she mentored in a different way. And I learned this by watching her. It was not intentional. She never said, okay, I'm having a mentoring program, or I'm writing a book, or I'm doing this and you need to follow. She just led by example. So it was not intentional, but we learned from her. I had the opportunity to spend a weekend with her in Texas, and we shared the same room. And so I noticed she would get up early in the morning and read her Bible and pray and, you know, do those things. And then after she do all that, then she'll wake me up and we'll get dressed and go out and do what we had to do for the day. At nights, if we came in at 1 in the morning or midnight, she would still pick up her Bible and read a scripture before she went to bed. I will already be in bed falling asleep, and she would be reading a scripture, and I said, wow, this woman is really amazing. So I learned from her, and without her saying a word. Also, when I wrote the book, Arise Esther, some women in the church told me, now that you wrote a book, do you know, now that you wrote a book, everyone's looking at you. We are looking at you, and we are learning from you, and you are leading. You are leading us without you even saying a word. And I said, oh my gosh, this is scary because
Yeah.
I didn't intentionally say I'm going to be writing this book and now I'm going to be mentoring all these people. But they started coming to me and saying that, calling me mom and all of those things. So at first it was really scary because I said, I'm becoming my mother in the faith. And as time went on by, I realized that I could accept it. I have to accept it because there's no turning back now. So I had to accept it and to go on in life and to become a mentor. And I love mentoring. I love having children in the faith who I can reach out to and help in any way that I could, with encouragement, with teaching, with praying for them. And I do have people text me and call me and stuff on a daily basis saying they need prayer or they need encouragement or advice. And I would say, who does not need advice and who does not need guidance? So in this world that we live in, we all do need mentors and we all do need mentoring people as well. So we do need to keep the ball rolling, because we can mentor and we can be mentored as well. So I'm here and I'm happy to be a mentor. And, I thank God for it, because in the kingdom of God, we have to maximize the moment and take every opportunity to teach whenever the time comes. So I'm here to do that.
I think this is really encouraging for people who feel like, they make excuses for themselves to not accept the role as a mentor. However, everyone is a mentor, regardless if they know it or not, or accept it or not, as Dad said before. And it's a moment of clarity and self-realization and actualization when you accept your role as a mentor and you take responsibility for what you do and what you say. And this goes back to what Dad said about character. And, what was that moment when you realized, like, okay, I'm a mentor now? Did you change anything, or did you just become more intentional about reaching out to your mentees?
Yes. When that first lady came to me and said, now that you wrote the book of Esther, we are watching you. You're being watched. And we're looking to see how you live. And then this is how we live. And, this is the same thing we did with Pastor Ruth, my mentor. When she would, during the conferences, me and the other ladies would say, the trustees' wives, we will watch her. And they'll say, do we go up when they call people to come up to do things? And we'll say, okay, if she goes up, we'll go up. Or if she sits down, we'll sit down.
No.
So that's what we did.
Yeah.
So the same thing happens now with me. People are saying, you wrote the book and we were looking at you. And I said, okay, I have to buck up on myself. I have to look at the way I speak, the way I dress, certain things that I do and I can't do anymore. I had to really check myself, make sure that I'm modest at all times, make sure that I'm always confident, and knowing that people are always looking at you, even when you don't even know it, that they are looking and learning. That's what they said. We're looking, we're learning, and we want more. We want more from you. So you have to be that person to give it to them.
It's a really good excuse so you can upgrade your wardrobe.
Upgrade.
We have a question here from Joseph Trujillo, and I feel like it's a really great question. So this is a really great question. He's asking, can a man be mentored by a woman or vice versa?
I would say yes, because like Pepe said, he was mentored by a woman when he first got saved. And when he first came to Jesus, he went to this church, he heard her preaching, and he got saved through her, and she mentored him. So I would say it could happen. I'm glad. I have sons in the faith too, and they call me and we talk and I give advice and all of them. And if I don't know something, I'll say, okay, let's ask Pepe, let's ask your dad about it. So it could work the same way, man or woman.
So what's an example, or how would it not work? You know what I mean?
How would it? If there's some advice that you need, like personal, manly advice that you had never experienced and stuff like that, then you'll need a man to tell you those experiences. But otherwise, if it's any other things that's in the Bible, the things that we know, it would work. So,
well, also, just if you feel uncomfortable or anything, that's the sign that the season's over and you could totally move on. Or you could just address it head on. But I would just move on.
Yes.
Yeah. What
Yes.
do you say about that, Dad?
Yes.
You can sit here. Sit where we can see you.
Can you be a spiritual mom without having a spiritual mom?
How would you learn? I would say, did you have a spiritual mom before?
Or can you be a spiritual dad without having a spiritual dad?
No.
Really?
Nope. You cannot be. You must have history. You must have history. The mentor, the spiritual fathers must have spiritual fathers before that. That's why God identified himself as the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, because Jacob daddy was Isaac, Isaac daddy was Abraham, and so it goes on, until the ultimate one was God the Father himself.
For example, if you want to become a teacher, you have to go through school first
That
to
makes
become
sense.
a teacher.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a mentor, you have to go through mentoring school with a mentor before you become a mentor.
That's great.
Yeah, so you can't just get up one day and say, I'm a mentor,
Yeah.
and I'm going to be mentoring people.
And the same thing with being a spiritual mother and father. You have to
Yeah.
go through the school of being having a spiritual father or spiritual mother.
Yeah.
And never follow someone who does not have a spiritual father.
Yeah, because like
Spiritual
Pepe
mother.
always mentions those guys, the Koreshes and the
They never had spiritual fathers. Jim
Jim
Jones,
Jones.
David
and
Koresh never had
they
spiritual
never
fathers.
had people to guide them,
Yes.
and that's why they went all the way down.
And you find people who actually had committed crimes in the past.
Mm.
They would always say they never had a father figure to look up at. Or people who are going through, identity, they would say, I never had a father, or I never had a mother around. So you could see the void, and you could see the calamity and the destruction that is created of a fatherless or a motherless generation. So even the father has to have a father, So I am a father today, a spiritual father, and everybody knows who my spiritual father is, and that is Dr. Miles Monroe. And everybody knows who Dr. Miles Monroe's spiritual father who is Oral Roberts, and everybody knows who Oral Roberts' spiritual father is, who is William Branham, and then you keep on going on and on and on.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Can we talk about, let me check if we have questions. Can we talk about the vulnerability that is necessary within a spiritual father and mother relationship?
You want to get to them?
Can you explain that?
Okay, so I know the difference, right? Like my mentor, I'm not going to tell them everything about my life, but I have a mentor for economics. I have a mentor for my education. I have a mentor for my career, and then I have my spiritual parents. I'm not going to go to my career mentor and be like, listen, I am in a wonderful relationship and I need some advice on my relationship. There's these boundaries and you have these different spheres or these different aspects for the different mentors that you have. So for your spiritual parents, right, vulnerability is one of these things that I absolutely love, and I feel like the rest of our generation and just the general population really needs to grab a hold of. When you have a spiritual parents, they're the ones that you're supposed to go to for advice for things, because you can't just go on in your life, right? This is for the young people and just like anyone who lives a life on this planet. So when you have your spiritual parents and you're going through hardship in your life, let's say someone in your family has passed away, or you're going through a divorce, or you want to get married, or you just started dating someone, your spiritual parents are the people that are supposed to be giving you advice. So this requires a level of vulnerability for you, and that's really scary. And I feel like that's one of the main reasons a lot of people stray away from having spiritual parents, because it requires you to be really open. It requires you to be honest. And this is one of the things that builds your character, right?
And this is why I say, you got to go slow in choosing a mentor. Now, remember, you really cannot choose a mentor. The mentor chooses the mentee. Jesus said, you never choose me, I choose you. The thing is, you have to look at mentors, and the one that you feel that is going to be a better fit for your life is the one you begin to pursue. So you're making a choice, really, but the ultimate choice is made by the mentor. All right.
So in terms of the spiritual parents, though,
Right.
about who you could be like with life advice,
Yes.
Right.
And this is why I'm saying again, go slow, because if you have difficulty being vulnerable to the person that you think is your mentor or your spiritual father,
Mhm.
then that is really not your spiritual father or your spiritual mother.
Mhm.
Because if there's things that you don't trust yet, or you are unafraid to disclose it,
Mhm.
then you have not found your spiritual father or your spiritual mothers yet. You
So-
have to be
You have to be open.
right, and that's why, again, in the time that we live in,
Mhm.
you got to take your time and look for someone that has character more than charisma.
Mhm.
So character is very important. That means if you tell your story to them, they are not going to make it known to the public or tell somebody down the street or talk negative about it, you know, but they will find a resolution and resolve for that problem, that conflict. So take your time when it comes to finding spiritual parents.
Yeah, because when you do find real, true mentors,
Your
you
secret
would want
becomes
to tell them. So, like, sometimes if Pepe is bad to me, if he gives me a hard time, just to call Pastor Ruth,
Richard.
Mhm.
or Pastor Richard, or Pastor Ruth,
Yeah, that's true.
and I would say, oh, this is what Pepe did. And Pastor Richard would always take Pepe's side.
No. He knew. He measured it well, and he said,
Yeah.
Angela, I think that Pepe was not wrong here.
99.9% of the time,
Well, you still
Pastor
get 0.1.
Richard would say, Angela, I think Pepe's right.
And then she would go to Pastor
So
Ruth.
Pastor Ruth, and then she would call Pepe and say, what are you doing? I see my daughter doing. So, you know, they should be people that you can trust and you can talk to about anything.
But I treat you good, right?
Yes.
We
oh,
have to
yes,
answer
you
some
do.
questions. No kissing in front of me. Okay, so the question by Joseph Trujillo, again, thank you for asking great
Hi,
questions.
Joey.
That's a sign of a great
We miss
mentee.
you all.
And that's
Asking
what
good
that's what a
questions.
mentee does.
Yeah.
A mentee and a spiritual son will ask questions.
Hmm.
The ones that don't, you gotta be
You have to learn how to ask good questions.
learn to ask questions. Don't feel bad at all.
Don't feel bad. You can ask us anything.
I called the Bahamas so many times.
Mhm.
Hundreds of that.
Pastor Miles picked up the phone and said, Dad, is that you? And then we'll start talking. We ask all the questions we want. That's the access we want to have. That's the access you want to have as well with your mentor.
Welcome to the open door. So we're going to answer this question. Can a mentee adopt the good and bad habits, patterns, etc. from a mentor?
Mm.
The mentee adopt the patterns from the
They
mentor.
shouldn't.
They shouldn't, but that's what I say again. The thing is, you gotta be slow in choosing out a spiritual father, mother, or a mentor, because it transfers genetically. There's a study called epigenetics, and epigenetics says that the environment that you get involved in, that actually reconstruct your genetic to look just like who is creating the environment for you. So very, very important, very, very important. You must take your time when you choose a mentor out who will become a spiritual father or spiritual mother in your life, because they're going to transfer everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Like you usually say, who you hang out with is
Yeah.
who you
hang up with.
So choose a mentor that you want to be like one day.
Yes.
Yeah. Next question. Does a spiritual parent mentor all things?
Wait, you want to answer that one?
I would say yes. Yes. Every area of your life.
Elaborate.
And this is why mentors and spiritual parents have to be well studied, because their sons and daughters will be asking questions, and it's okay for a spiritual parent to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then what does the spiritual parent do? They consult with someone that is an authority in that particular area, and get back with their spiritual son, or probably refer their spiritual son or daughter to that individual who may be a little bit more well studied or versed in that particular area. Yes.
And another question from Denny Forster. Pepe, are you seeking another mentor?
No, because you could only have one spiritual father, and he speaks to me beyond the grave. Now, that's not spooky.
It's a mentor.
All right. Mentor or father?
Mentor.
Oh, sorry, mentor.
Yeah.
There are always mentors. In fact, there is new scientific mentors that I have in my life. In terms of spiritual mentors, there are people that I still am accountable to. I have almost about 10 of them, and I'll tell you who they are. These are the people that once surround Dr. Miles Monroe. So people like Dr. Peter Morgan, Dr. Pat Morgan, Dr. Raphael Messiah, Dr. Jerry Horner, Dr. John Smith, all of these people, Dr. Dave Burrows, Dr. Angie Burrows, these are people who surrounded Dr. Monroe, are the people who I have submitted myself onto, because you do need physical accountability around you. But you're going to have just that one father. Even though he has gone on to be with the Lord, he's always going to be my spiritual father. But there are father figures, or what we call mentors, that still surround my life. Yes.
So we have time for about 2 more questions, and we have 1 more question to answer right here. So if you guys have any burning questions, we're going to answer the next 2 questions. So is it also possible to, Danielle Estelle said, is it also possible to be fast to choose a mentee?
Is it?
For a mentor to choose a mentee, what is the pace you should do that? Like, because you can't, if you're a mentee and you choose a mentor, you have to take your time.
Yes.
So if a mentor chooses a mentee, like, can you also go really fast and then make a mistake?
You don't want to go fast with that either. What you want to do is, those prerequisites, the early characters that we said, characteristics of what the individual is supposed to have, is what you should look for. The number 1 is definitely pursuit. The mentee that pursues the mentor is the one that gets selected. When we went to Holland, we saw the pursuit of and the hunger that was in each and every one of the mentees that were in Holland. So it did not take us too long of a time, but it was never immediate. Even though we would, we would have loved to do it right away. We had to see and to make sure that these are truly mentees, because mentors' lives are busy.
Yeah.
Our lives are busy, and we had to make sure that these were people that were hungry. For example, Danielle Stell is watching us right now, Michelle, the group in Holland watching us, and it's like about 3 o'clock in the morning or something.
Yeah,
maybe
it's
4 o'clock.
late over there.
3 or 4 in the morning. Those are things that encourages a mentor to pursue the mentee. So it didn't take me too long to choose, the Stells out there, or Nanda and the group out there. It did not take us long, because we saw your hunger, and that's what fuels us as mentors to be able to pour into your life. And they stayed up. The first time we met them, they stayed up till around 3 or 4 in the morning.
Really?
And we started like 5
sleep
in the afternoon. We had to tell them, go to bed, go and rest, go and get some sleep. And I don't know if they did, but we went to bed, got up in the morning. There were coffee and Malaccan breakfast that was on the table waiting, and they were waiting with their notes, their recorders and so forth. That's what is attractive to a mentor. A mentor will always pursue a mentee that is in pursuit of them.
Yeah.
I remember one of our previous pastors said, the ones who make the most noise will get the milk.
Yes.
Yes.
And the eagle that opens its mouth is the one that will be fed.
Yes.
That's the one who asks the question. Open the mouth means to ask the question.
Yes.
That's the one that's going to be fed.
So there is I don't know how to explain. So there was a child that I watched grow up, and then when she turned 18, she asked me to be her mentor. And because I was there and I watched her grow up, and I know her character, and I know, like, we've had lots of talks before, and we went out and I babysat her and everything. When she asked me that question, I was like, of course I'll be your mentor. Because it seemed like a relationship that was already
that's 18
there.
years. Yeah.
That's a long time.
It should have been done in 5 years.
I was also a child. But the thing is, like,
As a child,
I also want to encourage anyone who's younger, like under the age of 25, that you're never too young to be a mentor. Yes. But to also, take time in choosing mentees, as he's saying. Like, this is really great, kind of like a curriculum, not curriculum, but like criteria to choose your mentees. Really think about it, because to be a mentor is a responsibility. Although it's not, although it's seasonal and it's not permanent like spiritual parents, it is still a responsibility where you have to invest in the lives of your mentees, because you've made a commitment to them. So keep that in mind there, my generation.
And this Sunday that's coming, I'm going to be talking really about the qualifications of what a mentor should have, what you should look for in a mentor and a spiritual father.
We have this is the last question of the night, and then we're going to say our closing remarks and end the live video. So this last question from Joey Trujillo, learn from this man. He is great at asking questions, you guys. Do you have any advice to those who may desire a mentor or spiritual father but have trust issues due to emotional lives with no parents?
You want to take that one? Take a chance. Yeah, no, I would say it this way. Even though you may have had bad experience growing up, there is always this one door because there's a desire to have what you did not have. And because of that, you still need to be careful like you say you are, and look back maybe at this video or get materials that are on spiritual father. Dr. Miles Monroe has a beautiful book on that too as well. And learn what the prerequisites and the qualifiers or the characteristics of who our spiritual father is. Study that first before you make that move, because information makes you brave. The more you know, the more you can discern. So the more you study the scriptures as to what the prerequisites are for great parents or great spiritual parents are, it makes you more confident in who you choose. So once you have that information, you will be able to do that. If you don't have that information, you will always be afraid to choose somebody. And it's very, very vital that you do have a spiritual parent. And don't be that desperate, but seek out the right spiritual parent by looking to see if they have the qualifying or the qualification that the scriptures actually say that you should have.
To the mentee as well, or the mentee who is looking for a mentor, don't be afraid of anyone saying no, because that's probably the only worst thing that could happen. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of people don't have mentors or don't even pursue to have spiritual parents, is because they're afraid of seeming rejection, where it's not necessarily rejection, but that's like grace over your life if someone is saying no, because they are saying that I want to devote so much time and pour into you. However, I am overdrawn or spread thin right now. So them saying no to you for like even years is grace unto your life. And it's just like you proving yourself to them as well. But even if you ask someone to be your mentor and they say, I'm sorry, no, I don't have time, or I'm already overloaded, that's okay. Because there's so many people in this world, and there's so many people that you can look up to and just ask, hey, would you mind being a mentor or mentoring me in this field? So don't be afraid of rejection. Always go after that and really pursue a person that you really want to be like.
Could you explain Diogenes and Alexander the Great, how he refused him when he went to him?
Yeah.
That's such an interesting story.
Yes, I love Diogenes. I love Diogenes so much. We were in Greece, right? And we went to the statue of Diogenes, and it's a story. It's not necessarily a true story that happened, but it's kind of like an anecdote. So Diogenes is this philosopher, a Greek philosopher, and he was known as the cynic. So he's the truth teller. So he's not going to spare your feelings. He's going to tell you the truth of what's going on. And I feel like that's a really great mentor. Not necessarily a great spiritual father, great mentor. So Alexander the Great came to Diogenes, and Diogenes lives in a literal jar, right? So he's like living on the street. He lives in a jar. He's just covering himself with like a sheet. And then Alexander the Great comes up to him, and Alexander's like, Diogenes, I love you. I love your philosophy. I love the way that you teach. I want to be you. I want to be you. Like, will you mentor me? And Diogenes like, yeah, that's great. That's wonderful and all, but can you step aside because you're standing in my sun? And then like that was the end of the conversation. So imagine Alexander the Great being denied by this literal homeless genius that lives in a jar. But I mean, Alexander the Great conquered all of Europe and Asia. So learn from Alex. Be like Alexander. Be great. Okay. But that's like the anecdote. Don't be afraid.
Humble, don't be afraid to ask.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask. Yeah. Like, will you be my mentor? No, you're standing in my sun. Get out of here. That's
but
okay.
that was not necessarily a refusal, because Alexander the Great continued to study his philosophy.
Yes, he studied his philosophy, but he didn't get like a direct relationship.
Right.
But that's how all the philosophers were back in the day. Diogenes was kind of on the higher end of the scale, but that's one of my favorite.
And look for mentors that have good attitude, great attitude. They love people. They're very patient. You know, they have information. They have achieved things in their lives. This is what we're going to be dealing with on Sunday. You know, you don't want to just choose somebody because they are famous, they're on television, they wrote many books or whatever. You want to get somebody who has that time, that has that love, that has that patience, you know, that has the experiences that they have been through and came out on top of it. You know, you want to know that because you want to be a person who is learning from somebody that when you face the same dilemma, you can use the same principle and strategy, because gravity works everywhere. Whether it's in the North Pole, South Pole, in the middle of the Earth, it works the same way. So principles are general, whether it's marriage principles, education principles, philosophical principles, they work the same everywhere.
We have a question. I said we took the last question, but this will be the last question. Can your spiritual mentor be younger than you? Mentor.
The spiritual mentor.
Yes.
Yes.
So just mentor.
Yes.
Yes. Because a younger person could be excellent at something that you want to be excellent at.
Yes. Actually, right now, even at the laboratory, I sit back and I allow Leah to mentor me in responding to the accreditation requirements for the government when they came. I'm just sitting back to learn from her too as well in that particular area. So you need to find mentors who are humble enough to sit and hear the wisdom that comes from their mentees and be proud of it. You need mentors who will celebrate you. You cannot always be carrying the bags of your mentor all the rest of your life. They should put you on their platform. They should introduce you to their contacts. They should make you known, because this is what a true mentor and a spiritual father will do. They want their children to be greater than them. Think about your own children. You want your kids to be greater and better than you. You want to know when you close your eye on that last day that they can take care of themselves. That you're not leaving them vulnerable. You're not leaving them weak and in despair. But you could close your eye in peace and go on to that other dimension, knowing that they're going to take care of themselves. So look for mentors that will look out for you, that will give you their contacts, that will put you on the platform. This doesn't happen overnight, of course. You have to wait for this to happen, because there are many, many mentees that have taken the platform of the mentors, and then the mentor never sees them again. That is absolutely wrong.
That ain't right.
That ain't right. Because you suffer eventually. Yes.
Do you have any closing remarks, Mom?
This was a nice session.
Yeah.
Hope you learned something from it, all of you. And even when we get off the air, if you have any questions, please put it in, because we could still continue to answer questions.
Yeah.
We could give advice. We could encourage you and all of that.
For anyone who hasn't pressed the like button, press it now. If you have enjoyed this live broadcast, press that like button and then share it on your page and leave a comment. So make a comment on our page or DM us on our Facebook page with your questions if you have any. We love your comments. And we also just want to let you guys know, just another reminder, that this Friday we are launching our Geographies of Success. It's a seminar that's going to be online on December 22nd. So there's only 30 open seats for this seminar, and it's going to be small because we're testing out new technology, because we're all forever learning, and it's going to be great. So the seminar is going to be about how to position yourself for success in 2020, next year, at the beginning of the year, but we're doing it before the beginning of the year, so when you enter the new year, you'll be positioned for success. So that will be opening on Friday, and register as soon as possible. 30 seats are available, and it's going to be December 22nd, and it's only going to be 2.5 hours long. You're going to have a workshop. We're going to talk about budgeting. We're going to talk about time management and how to surround yourself with people of influence, all these things and more. So for those of us that are now just joining, please press that like button. But we are about to end the broadcast. Thank you so much for watching, and let us know what you would want us to talk about in our next live broadcast, okay? So thank you again, and this is a great session.
I like what it is.
Yeah.
Always I always enjoy interacting with our loved ones all around the world.
Yes. All right. Thank
Love
you,
you.
guys.
Find a mentor that would celebrate you.
Mm-hmm.
See you on top.
See you on the top.
All right.
All right. Love you guys. Bye. Yay. Bye.